All right. Hello, and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your weekly untethered source of untethered weekly untetheredness.
And he's not Brad, and I'm not Josh.
Yes. This is true. It has never been more true.
Well, never.
Maybe next week it will be less true, but it has never been more true than right now.
You're playing with time in the under, my friend.
Yes. Hello, past self over there who is getting ready for the show.
For those of you who know what he's talking about, it was a pretty good joke, right?
So, we have some news. We have some more news. We have upcoming titles, but not for next week as far as we know. And we have kind of sort of a new release. But before we get to that, let's get to our highlights of the week. Not Josh, do you want to start?
Sure, not Brad. Here I go. My not highlight of the week was, I guess, participating in the Iron Lights tournament yesterday. It's been a very long time since I was in Iron Lights, and that game has gotten really, really good. It's like completely under the radar since Echo. And that they're giving you a whole $30 to participate in the tournament.
Well, only if you're one of the top three.
Well, it's only fair, but I mean, still, hard cash $30.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the game yesterday. I mean, they added, as you know, new characters. The graphics have gotten really, really good. The lighting effects are tremendous at this point, and it's a fully polished game. It's ready. Still kind of weird to play because of the slow motion. Right. Definitely a game in its own class, but I would say that really sets it apart from every other game I've played on the Quest.
Right. One of the things I really like about it is the saving of the replay. Native on the Quest, you can save a third-person perspective replay of your match. And with the latest update, they also added a first-person camera replay. So you don't need to record with the built-in screen recorder on the Quest. You can just save a replay in the game. I don't think it would save the voice chat audio if you had that turned on or not, but it would save all the game stuff.
I did turn on voice chat. I found that was better because it was a friendly competition. Yeah. The tournament is really, at this point, pretty much just basically, do you know how to play? Hit me.
Yeah.
So,
I had voice chat turned on too, but the other guy didn't seem to have it turned on. So, yes, I also participated. I also lost in the very first round. So it was a single elimination.
Yeah, so, I know. And
once I was out.
Actually, my 2 eliminations came down. I lost also 2 in a row, but it came down to the very, very end, which was kind of cool. But he was using his mace, and that thing, when it hits...
Oh, yeah. I should have gone with that instead of going with Duelist for the second round, I think. I started off with Reaper. He started off with Knight. Just beat the crap out of me. Then I banned Knight, so he went to Reaper, and I made a bad decision, and I switched classes also and went to Duelist. I should have either stayed Reaper or I should have gone to Crusader, which is one with the flail.
Right, yeah. Reaper is a really interesting character. I mean, he's fast, really fast in terms of the weapon he's wielding.
Right.
But not as powerful as you would think by the looks of him. So.
Right. And personally, I think Monk and Reaper should be combined so that the staff for Monk works more like the scythe in Reaper, except it's got both ends as a striking thing and the middle for blocking.
Right. I found that to be exactly what I was thinking. I feel like I should be playing Monk and at the same time. Give me the armor and that weapon, and give me the Monk's moves, and we're good.
Right.
So,
Right. So, but as it is, it's like you got the blocking ability of a real staff, but you don't have the striking ability of that. You have the striking ability of a scythe.
but it was beautiful to be able to
Yeah.
block like that in slow motion, and that was where the game really shines. Was exactly what he was talking about when he created it. It wasn't just hack and slash. It
Right.
was flow. It was more of a
Right.
ballet, and I enjoyed that very much.
Right. The only thing that I've got with that is I tend to still do regular speed motions, which means that I'm doing this and it's lagging. So I'm like,
Right.
okay, gotta slow down. Yeah.
And remember to go behind your back because your
Right.
blade is breaking every
Well, yeah.
time too.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that tends to lead to a repetitive motion since that gives you the most payback anyway, and that
Right.
tends to lead to a bad shoulder.
Right. Well, yeah. Um, the other bad thing that I find about the slow motion aspect is it leads to much easier prediction of the opponent's moves.
Oh yeah.
Great when you're on defense, horrible on offense.
Right. I know the frustration that builds up when the other guy sees you coming and there's no way to stop the move at that point or change in mid motion.
Right. That is a place where Monk shines because you can start to come down like this, see that they're blocking, switch, and come up with the bottom.
Right. I've done that with Reaper too, but it's not as fluid as with Monk. Monk, the staff
Well,
is high.
on the Reaper, it doesn't have a striking zone on the bottom, only on the top. So you would have to go like, and
Well,
come
it
back
does have
with
that
up.
curve. It does have that curve on the bottom of the.
I haven't noticed that it has strikes there.
Yeah, I did that once from an underneath move. It only hit once, but it did
Okay.
connect. So
Okay.
something to keep
Okay.
an eye on, I guess.
Well,
There you go, a tip and a highlight.
yeah. All right. Any other highlights? Any other thing that jumped out at you, like Freddy Fazbear?
Freddy Fazbear. No, nothing that jumped out at me quite like that. But what did jump out at me was the incredible amount of games that I have in my library that have gone unplayed or unfinished. And I've decided that I have to do some sort of reordering here because it was like, okay, if I do this one game for puzzle and this one game for shooting, which would obviously at this point be Trover and In Death, then my multiplayer games, which I don't know, half a dozen that I'm currently playing, and then it was like, oh crap, the artwork. It's like Tilt Brush and GS are sitting there. And I've decided that I have to really make a schedule or I'm never going to play any of these.
Yeah. Well, that will keep jumping out at you until you start winnowing those unplayed games down.
Well, yes, that really occurred to me when I went to look at the Oculus sale and realized there was nothing that I didn't say purchased other than Creed and VR Fit. I was like, so yes, I'm a junkie. I am a VR junkie.
I have a lot more unpurchased ones than you, but yeah, I've got a lot that are purchased also.
Yeah,
But I've actually played almost all of them. The only ones that I haven't are the ones where they were part of a dual pack, but I only wanted the one title.
right. And with me, it was just I got involved in certain things, and getting back into a game is not as easy sometimes. It's just going back to the beginning to catch the flow as trying to, just start over again. So at this point, I'll look at it as I have a very full library and I don't need to purchase anything more as they come out, but it doesn't look like the flow is that heavy anyway right now. So.
Right. Well, it'll probably pick back up again near the end of the month and going toward December, but who knows?
Your highlights.
No, go ahead. So we're about to say something else.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say was that this sale really does seem to coincide. It's crazy that this wasn't their anniversary sale. That is like amazing to me. It's like really, summer is more important than anniversary.
Yeah.
But it does sort of give credence to the fact that we might see the Quest, whatever number, in September.
Okay. That's an interesting way of it.
I can't go through all the permutations of what it might be yet, you know.
I still like my idea of Quest Shaquille O'Neal.
As long as we don't have to
Quest
pay any
Shaq.
royalty. I know, right with Pavlov Shack. That's
Yes. All right. So my highlights of the week are a whole bunch of stuff. And moving on. No. I played a little bit more of Carnage Chronicles. It's still a fun game. I moved on. I'm progressing in the quest, and there are some areas that are harder than they were before, so it is ramping up in difficulty, which is good. And I managed to get on an Onward team this week, so hopefully you'll be able to see me be casted once or twice during the next season, whenever it starts. I believe it's supposed to start not Monday the 10th, but the next Monday after that.
the 17th.
I believe, yes. So we'll see. Our team needs to practice a little bit more because we're all relatively new and we don't have the maps memorized and we don't have our strategies worked out yet. But we had a scrim last night with a team that was number 7th in the world. We lost miserably in all the games, but we did manage to not be completely KO'd with no return KOs. We were starting to adapt toward the end, and they're getting them a little bit more as well. So, but we still lost all the rounds.
Well, you really can't feel bad losing to the 7th.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're new to the game. They've been playing the game since it came out on Rift, ages ago.
Right.
Yeah, so they've got all the maps memorized. They've got all the strategies down pat. They probably don't even need to take that 15 seconds of cooldown before you get to leave your starting area to strategize.
Right.
All they need to do is probably like a professional sports team does and go, all right, Operation Blue. Okay, and everybody knows where they need to go.
Exactly. And that's
Right.
what has to happen in the field as well. You were telling me about the communications, being able to hear the other team when you're close enough. So it's good to have a code.
Yeah.
So you can give your team a code that they know, and in order to do that, you need to squad up for a while. And so, yeah, it's going to take some time to become a professional team, I think.
Yes. Well, yeah. It will take a while, and the good thing is that in the league, we'll be matched with other new teams. And then as our MMR gets formed, as our rating gets established, we'll start matching based on that rather than just you're a new team.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
The matchmaking will get better, which is
Yeah.
the whole point behind the MMR. So.
Right. So, I am looking forward to seeing how that goes. I am also, and maybe this is biting off a little bit too much, I don't know, but I am also in a tower tag tournament team that's going to be starting soon. It's a much shorter season. It's not like a several months season like the VRML stuff is. But I was like, well, I don't have an honor team yet. I'm interested in this game also, so I had to figure it out in both, and I ended up on a team for Tower Tag also. So.
Well, that's going to pull you away for a while, huh? We'll be reviewing games with your minimal input as to the newness of them. You're going to become our next military sim specialist here.
Maybe. And Tower Tag, for those that may not be familiar, is a game that was exclusive to VR arcades, but is now available for home users as well on Steam and I believe on Oculus Rift. It is it's a room scale game, and in the middle of your play space there is a tower. You cannot go into the tower. In the VR arcade, there's an actual column there that matches the position, so there's a physical tower there to match. But at home, it's just a virtual tower, and if you are standing in the middle of your play space when you first launch the game, the very first thing you see is "Get out of the tower."
Good advice, actually.
Yeah. So you can only play on the edges of the play space. Here's my iPad case. It's like here at the tower, you can only be here, and you can't be here in the middle. So, and it's shooting at the other players one-handed and capturing a tower by basically shooting a grappling hook at it, waiting till it fills up with your color, and then launching yourself over to it. And that's how you move, is that there's the launching motion.
Right.
So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it lets you move around room scale on the platform you're on, and then when you want to get to another platform, you basically teleport. So
right. Oh, very like in-depth. Sounds like in-depth type of gameplay.
Right. Right. So it is a fun game. It hasn't grown really big since it got launched for the home users, but they are holding tournaments and whatnot in an attempt to increase its popularity and whatnot. So
sure. Well, it's interesting that they did that, because Star Wars did that with their Disney experience.
Right.
Bringing it to the Quest. So.
Right. My other big highlight of the week was trying out Eye of the Temple First Steps. That is a demo of Eye of the Temple, the full game, that is coming to Steam at some point in the future. I don't know if there's a specific date for it or not, but it is kind of an Indiana Jones-like puzzler game. You are wearing a Indiana Jones-like hat, you have a whip, and you have a torch.
No similarities whatsoever that I could hear of so far.
Right. I'm just waiting for one part of the puzzle experience being rolling under a door and going, "Oh no, my hat!"
It's coming in the next update.
Maybe, but excuse me. It also is a room scale game, but it's a little bit different. There are moving platforms that move you around in the game. So you have to, in the real world, physically step onto the platform, and then in the virtual world, it moves you to another area where you can then step off onto a stationary thing. So it feels like you are doing this, but in reality, you're doing this.
I saw that. I saw a demo of that like 6 months ago off of Twitter and YouTube, but it wasn't Indiana Jones. It was a much more cartoonish look. But I saw that motion that you're talking about.
Right.
I'd like to try that. It looked very interesting.
Yeah, and on there are also some platforms that are barrel-like and that are rolling, and just like if you're doing a real log roll walk thing, you have to walk backwards on those.
Yeah, that's cool. That is very cool. How are you enjoying it?
It was fun. I streamed it for about 45 minutes on my Facebook gaming page, Silverfire VR Gaming, and It was fun. Once you go through the demo and get to the end, you unlock a speedrun mode. Speedrun is where every successful step onto a platform you do, all the platforms move a little faster.
Cool.
So it goes faster and faster and faster and faster until you're going.
It becomes Temple Run, huh?
Yeah.
In first person. It's bad enough in third person. That's cool. I like it. The new innovations are really good. It's nice to be able to bring new stuff.
Yeah. And one thing that I think is very smart of them is the whip, which requires a fast motion, right, is only available to be used when you are in the center of your play space. They have it designed so that anything you need to use your whip on, you can only reach with it when you're in the middle of your play space. So some of the vases you have to, well, all the vases they can break open and you get gems.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are out of reach of the torch, so you have to use the whip. So those ones are only accessible to you when you're in the middle of your play space. So they've got a design so that you're not going to be at the edge of your play space and go, on the wall.
Oh, that's a good thing that they did. But it's funny that you should mention that, because some of the puzzles that I've been solving in Trover, the same thing happens, is that you have to, you can make it from point A to B, but you never do unless you unlock C, which has nothing to do with those two.
Right.
As soon as you do that, now all of a sudden you can make the jump that
Right.
you should have been able to make. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's good, but it's kind of weird the way they force you back into a position.
Right. Well,
Keep a puzzle to the point.
So this doesn't necessarily force you back into a position. It's more like with all the walking that you're doing on the regular platforms, you end up over here, and then you step forward and you're on a barrel, which means that you have to walk, step backward, which takes you into the middle of your area again, and now you are presented with something that you need the whip on.
Right, but that's what I mean by force you.
Right.
Coerce.
Well, it's a less obvious forcing.
Right, which is great.
Yeah.
Unlike the bars that come up around you, the electric bars in
Iron Knight,
it's
that kill you if you're out of your zone.
Not once this time though. Not once. I know the first time it was. God, that was crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're having fun. You had fun with it, which is great.
Yeah. And it's a free demo, but you have to join the Discord and then send a bot a message to get a key for it. That's how they've got it set up. It's not just go into Steam Store, download a key, and then the developer never hears from you again. They've got it set up so that you at least have to join the Discord.
Oh, that makes sense. At least be a beta tester for the beta test.
Yeah.
It's
right. So, and of course, I saw Pesky Cashew in there, who already did a speed run.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. He got through it in like 9.5 minutes on the speed run.
Okay, I don't know if that's impressive.
Well, when not doing a speed run, it takes about 40-45 minutes.
Wow, that's impressive then. That is impressive. Well, that's one of the things I love about In Death is the fact that the better you get, the harder it gets.
Right.
I can't think of any better way to play a game than for it to judge you and then present you with,
Well, most of the time people don't like to be judged.
Well, if you can't stand the heat of the abyss. Oh, Paradise Lost. That's right. They introduced Paradise Lost.
All right. So moving on to the new release, we had the multiplayer update for Real VR Fishing come out. I haven't had a chance to try it yet because other things have been coming up. My son has the game and is really enjoying it. I got the game so that I could do the multiplayer with him because I know he would want me to.
Mhm.
And because I know Michael and his son would love to do multiplayer with me and my son. So.
I'd love to join you guys one day as well. I have that also. And for those of you who haven't played VR fishing, it is not new. It's been around since the go, but it is one of the most realistic experiences you'll have in terms of feeling like you are fishing.
Yeah, I haven't tried turning up the difficulty level yet because on the starting difficulty, you have pop-up helpers that indicate that okay, now you need to pull up on the rod, now you need to pull right, now you need to pull left or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as you increase the difficulty, it turns off all the UI elements. So you are fishing like you would in the real world, relying on your visibility of the line and what it's doing out in the water and the tip of your rod, and
which is great because you need those tips at the beginning because you have to get a feel for the gameplay. Yeah, there's a fish there that you're getting a haptic feedback from, so you have to take the visual cues. Right. So I do like games that introduce you as part of the gameplay into, no tutorial really needed other than this is how you use it basically, and we'll take you through the rest. You'll just learn it as you go along. So.
Right. And I like also that it works perfectly to basically 100% match just about a real fishing experience because modern rods have the finger trigger for the casting. Yeah. So it's a one-to-one thing there.
Right. I remember using my thumb to cast, but
I know. I remember having to flip that over, hold on to it, cast, and then release so that it flipped back over, and
And that was the coolest. Was it automatically flipped over?
Right.
That was like speed casting.
Right. So, yeah. We're old, in case you haven't noticed. No. Or older.
Older, yes.
Yeah.
Never old.
So, upcoming games, we have Alcove VR coming on August 20th. So that's not next week, but the week after next.
See, speaking of older, we get to play checkers.
Now, I tried Alcove VR when it was on the Go and the Gear VR, and it's a really well-made app. I thought it made a better Oculus Rooms than Oculus Rooms did.
And it's still around.
Your own pictures, your own artwork there. It has the social so that you could bring your family members in. You could watch videos. You could jump into games together. So it was really well done, and now it's coming to the Oculus Quest. So,
which is great.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
Everybody is, unless Horizon comes out between now and then.
Yep. Maybe this will be the new Horizon.
Sounds like a new Star Trek series.
This is Horizon, and then we have New Horizon coming out from Facebook. No.
Oh, God. And
moving on to news, we have the Ilysia pre-alpha is available for PSVR now. If you go to the Discord, or if you go to the Oculus Quest Reddit, probably in the Oculus Rift Reddit, Oculus General Reddit, there should be links there in one post or another. And it's available to everybody across the board right now to jump in and try out. And they're going to leave the servers on for 5 days, I believe.
Right. It's 48 hours.
APK is not quite out yet. They're having issues with that. But once it comes out, Oculus Quest will be able to do it natively on the Quest as well.
It does look really nice, though. The trailer I've seen, it looks so much nicer than Orbis.
Yeah. I think, personally, I prefer more of the Skyrim-looking feel, because this is like a bright, cheery Renaissance Fest version, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that sometimes it makes me feel more like Animal Crossing than Sky. You know what I mean?
I understand exactly what you're saying, and in that respect, Orbis gave you more of a mood, but Orbis graphics were very basic, and it was all of the characters were just reused, and they became a different enemy by coloring a piece of them differently and naming them something. So it kind of got boring, And that at least still.
I did like the Rune Mage stuff in Orbis and the Shaman, but the Rune Mage was a little bit too difficult because unless you could keep your rune drawing on exactly the same plane, it would mess up. Because if you drew one line here and one line here, it didn't count.
Right.
Too finicky.
Right. Nothing on Orbis was finished. It always seemed like a work in progress.
Oh yeah, but it was still fun for a long while. Ilysia looks like it'll be much better made. Right now it is pre-alpha, so if you do go and get it, remember that it's not even alpha yet. This is pre-alpha. Not even close to ready for official beta testing. This is just pre-alpha. So not everything's going to work. There will be bugs. You don't get to create an actual character of your own choosing. It will be randomized. Your name and your gender will be randomized. So, but it is fun to go in, explore around, and take a look at what they're doing.
Right.
So, the next bit of news is Pokemon Virtual Fest is going to be launching on August 12th. So the day after my birthday.
They missed by one day, huh?
I know, right? Yeah.
Somebody didn't get the memo in time.
Yeah. This is an online event that, if I remember right, I'm just pulling up an article on it again right now. I didn't have it preloaded, but it will be August 12th through the end of the month in Japan, obviously. And it will have rides based on Pokemon, as well as shows and footage of Pokemon Sword and Shield battles. Users will get to enjoy a full theme park experience, attractions, events, shops. You'll have customizable avatars, and there'll be mini games like a shooting shop, a ring throwing shop, and I believe that there is going to be at least some part of it that's a virtual reality part to it. It's not just online or whatever. I believe there's going to be a VR aspect to it as well. This article doesn't mention that, but I believe the other article that I read did mention that. So this is kind of big news because it's the first, really, I think, event of this kind that could actually be honestly called a virtual event like that. Right. Most of the other fest and conference, whatnot, have been Zoom. I don't really consider that a virtual event. I mean, yes, it's virtual because you're not really there, but
Right.
it's not. Yeah.
We've discussed this. Virtual has taken on a different meaning than what we
Right.
consider.
Right. So, this should probably prove to be a fairly popular event, as almost anything Pokemon related is.
I'm sorry, I don't get it.
I know my son, if he finds out about it, he's probably going to want me to go there with him. So.
Yeah, no, I know. I have someone in my household who just showed me the encyclopedia of Pokemon and Pokemon Evolution and Pokemon Extreme Evolution. So, yeah, I think I would be dragged into that as well. So I won't be mentioning that, and he won't be watching this. So.
Our next bit of news: Epic MegaGrants applications are live. This is, I think, $100,000 or something like that total going out in grants to people that are using the Unreal Engine to do various projects. You have an application process, submit your project, and if you get chosen, you'll get a grant. The size of the grant depends on how much you ask for and what they consider that you will actually need and all that, and a combination of those.
Right.
I remember in past Mega Grants, I don't know if they're doing it in this one, but in past Mega Grants, they were also giving away Magic Leap or a HoloLens also.
Right.
To the first 100 people that were doing a related project.
Right. Well, yeah, I could see them pushing AR at this point because VR is fairly saturated with money-making abilities. AR is the one that still has to prove itself.
Right. So, either which way, if you are an Unreal developer at all and have a project that you think would benefit from having a grant, so you can get assets, so you can get a team together to help you get it faster or whatever, so go and apply.
Right. If you have a project, do it. If you really believe in it, just do it.
Yeah. Yep. In other news, virtual house hunting.
Zillow.
So it's kind of been around for a while, but there was an article that I ran across recently talking about, or it was interviewing realtors in England, I believe, and how people can't go out and visit a potential house anymore, but with VR apps, they can just pop on a headset and look at 360-degree photos of the environment and whatnot. And they did mention that most of them are teleport, instead of smooth locomotion, which you and I would probably rather have the smooth locomotion. People that are new to it, it probably doesn't matter.
Right.
But this way, if the photos are done right, it gives you a good or a more accurate sense of the size of the room where everything would go in there. Right. And I think some of the solutions that are out there for this should let you plop down furniture as well, so you can see what it's like empty, see what it's like with the furniture in there.
Well, yeah, it's the whole thing is I remember doing this in QuickTime VR 20 years ago.
Right.
It's just using modern applications to be able to make it easier or more realistic and give you a sense of scale.
Right.
I'm not impressed yet. I know it's getting there. I know it's getting.
It would be, in my opinion, best if it were a digital reconstruction of the place and smooth locomotion or teleport to any location instead of just the predefined areas.
Mm-hmm.
And although this might be a little bit difficult or potentially invasive, but have your own actual furniture available to prop down in there. You know, instead of placeholder furniture that doesn't quite match what you've actually got.
Well,
You know?
if the app becomes successful, it will get there. It's all a matter of accurately being able to, place the digital assets and be able to. So yeah, I think we're just looking at something that has to ramp up and be useful enough to, make it mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, the concept, or a related and slightly tangential concept to this, the concept of virtual real estate has been around for a long while as well. I think I mentioned that there was a virtual real estate app game on Android that came out called Landlord Go. It not that great in the implementation in my opinion, but there's also VR and AR. I mean, true VR AR. It's a virtual real estate thing where you can buy a satellite coordinate, a GPS coordinate plot of land and put whatever you want there in the AR space, and is yours. And you had Second Life where you could buy and rent land within the game, prop a house down, fill it with furniture, and have that as your literal home.
Who were we talking about last week? Spheria? Was that last week or the week before? I mean, this is going to become the world is going to become a monopoly board that we build on. It's just it's starting now,
Right. So, but so back to the original thing, the virtual house hunting, that's still, I think, more in the 3DOF stage than in the 6DOF stage, but it is getting there, and it is a solution for the times that we are in when you can't necessarily just say, hey, I want to get a tour of this house. Can you take me? Well, so.
It's easy enough to walk through with a mobile phone at this point if you have a decent connection. So until you could do something like the Anne Frank house where you could actually build it in and you could walk around.
Right.
And that's that would be very expensive until LiDAR.
Yeah. I have done 360 photo stuff, and the Anne Frank house, even without all the narration, was more immersive than a 360-degree photo.
Right. Of course. And that's
even if it's a stereoscopic photo.
Exactly. Right. So it's going to be the type of thing where right now, honestly, I think it's gimmicky, and I understand they're trying to capitalize on a market where people don't want to go into other people's homes, but
and where the most easily affordable device is a Google Cardboard, so they have to build for that, as opposed to Oculus Quest, which no one's going to buy an Oculus Quest just to go virtual house hunting.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because it's very inexpensive to go look at 100 different houses from the middle of your living room without having to move and getting a really good sense of scale and everything else. So,
but
it becomes less expensive to use that than it does for the gas in the vehicle to take it to that home. So
true. So, anyways, moving on to our next bit of news. Speaking of the Quest, the Oculus Quest browser is getting experimental hand tracking for WebXR. There are a few apps out there that are taking advantage of the new APIs, and I have not tried any of them yet. I haven't had a chance to check that out, but that's a cool step in the right direction.
Absolutely. We're on our way to haptic gloves.
Or something like that, yes. Hand-tracked haptic gloves, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think that's, and that's just it, is right now they're trying to track fingers, but if they put in a glove that has just a few sensors.
I know, that would make it much easier. And I know people have this conception that people don't want to wear gloves, but
We know people are best.
If the choice is, oh, bye-bye hand, or, oh, they are all totally there, fully, completely accurately tracked no matter what, I'd go with the gloves.
I would go with the gloves. I mean, if I'm willing to hold the controller and press buttons, why wouldn't I be willing to wear gloves? And if I'm willing to wear a vest in order to feel it, why wouldn't I be willing to wear gloves? So, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just a matter of having it accepted and having enough developers develop games that the gloves will be called for. Right.
So, I'm looking forward to seeing what developers do with WebXR now that we have hand tracking available for it. AltSpace has made some big changes due to hacking and trolling. I've been not in AltSpace for a little while, so I don't know what exactly was going on. But evidently, it was bad enough that that AltSpace is disabling a lot of the tools that people used for managing events and managing slides and whatnot, because I guess that's where a lot of the hacking and trolling was it was in that they could load any web page, any video, and it wasn't exactly the most secure implementation, and what? I gotta hang on.
That was me.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so it's not the most secure implementation, and they are changing things now so that it will be more secure. But for now, it's going to be much more limited in what you can do to run an event, because you're not going to have access to that stuff. So things are changing. Hopefully they will come up with a solution that has all of the functionality needed, and that's still relatively easy to use, but also more secure than the old solution was.
Really quickly, and on a related note, the Neuralink is being really looked into for exactly what you're talking about, hacking into somebody's mind.
Right.
They're talking
about... That needs to be very secure, yeah.
Exactly, because they're talking about being able to do some wonderful things with it, but if you're hackable,
then someone could literally send a signal to it to fry your brain.
Exactly, or whatever they want. That's the problem. So, Manchurian Candidate 2.0 or whatever else. So, I'm a little... That was kind of weird. That was like introducing cyberpunk reality in... It's like, before you get started, Elon, you better...
Well, this is all... I mean, that's like 20 years off in the future or something like that before, because the brain is incredibly complex, and it's going to be a long time before it's able to do anything at that fine-grained of detail.
True. However, 20 years and 5 years is the difference in making one discovery. And, it could be here a little sooner than later, a little later than sooner. I agree, but it's just still something to be aware of from the ground up.
Yeah. Yes. I agree. Moving on, VR workout beta. I believe only the beta version of it right now. This is a hand tracking workout app available on SideQuest. So no controllers except for the headset, so you can safely do things like push-up. Like push-ups and burpees and whatnot without risking your controllers getting broken. But the beta is now going to allow sharing your workout analysis with your friends. So adding that competitiveness to it.
Seems to be the
Look,
new.
I did one more burpee than you. What?
It's great. Trash talking in VR is becoming
Yep.
a great thing. Well,
Yeah.
hey, it wasn't in Iron Lights at one point. You couldn't trash talk. You could just kill. Now you can trash talk while you're doing it.
While you are killing, yes. Moving on, we have FNAF, or as some people say FNAF, or as some people say Five Nights at Freddy's, is the fastest selling game to date on the Oculus Quest. Although I hear Onward it's catching up to it,
Right.
and the number, maybe not necessarily the speed, but better than the number.
Right. And look at how quick Phantom Covert Ops went up too. And you
Yeah,
have all the sales going on, which is pulling away, excuse me, from some new games that might be wanted as well. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Tetris Effect to drop down to $9.99 so I can play it.
You're waiting for what to drop down?
Tetris Effect.
Oh, yes. I like Tetris, but every time I try to get back into any sort of Tetris now, I find it boring, honestly.
Yeah, me too. But that's why the effect everybody is like, oh, it's the experience, and the experience which I don't mind paying $10 for. $30 for an experience? No thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go see The Tempest.
Yeah. In other news, the CoolPad X View smart wearable AR glasses, kind of long name there,
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, launched in China for 2,999 yuan, or that's about $428. So that's actually comparable to the Quest in the price. I got the link to the article off of a tweet from Scarred Ghost. He has a lot of news from the China area of the world. And they hosted a product launch conference, and they claim that it's the first wireless all-in-one AR glasses in China. And it also claims to be the first device in that market to be powered by a wearable chipset. The glasses shown here, and I'll share the screen really quickly. The glasses shown here are fairly normal looking glasses. So it looks like the glasses that you wear, and over here on in the foreground of the image is the computing unit for it.
Right.
So
it's definitely a nice looking unit. Looks ready for the market.
Yeah. So the lens evidently measures just 3 millimeters. Optical waveguide technology. The interactions are, and I'm just going to read from the article here, high precision fusion positioning, space marking, target recognition, and tracking, along with other features powered by algorithms. There are two variants. There's the consumer version, which focuses on lightweight AR apps such as navigation, shopping guide, communication. Can be used in standalone mode or connected to smartphones through Bluetooth. There's another variant which comes with support for 4G connectivity, and then it will be introducing 5G connectivity as early as next year. And that's all we know about that right now. So, I highly doubt that that's going to make it to the U.S. unless you have a friend over there to buy it and then ship it to you or whatever. But in which case, that they could buy it today and you'll get it in December.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I also, speaking of that, I was reading that the Pico 2 4K is just come to market or is coming to market, and they said that it proves that 3DOF is not dead because it's absolutely stunning in its visual clarity. So,
Well, Rudolph is not dead. No, it's just um, Sixth off is better in a lot of ways, but 3DOF allows for cheaper devices, and in certain use cases, all you need is 3DOF.
absolutely.
So
you can recreate so many different feelings in that.
Yeah.
Right, like you said, doesn't offer you the exact expanse, but if they can improve the visual clarity to 4K, they can do a lot of really amazing things with that.
Yeah. And our last bit of news, which is probably just as big or maybe bigger than the Pokemon news, Hitman 3 comes to PlayStation VR. You can play all of the Hitman franchise in VR. First-person assassination.
It doesn't get
Murder Simulator VR.
Although I have been reading a lot of reviewers saying that they prefer Pistol Whip. They compare it to being a musical Hitman. So
now, with this news hitting, it's only a matter of time before we start hearing people talking about violence in video games again, and all the sensitive crowd saying, "Why can't we just have empathy building apps?" And and I get that, I do. I'm not really a fan of a game that's just straight up about killing people,
Right.
But I've never really subscribed to the idea, which is also supported by studies. I've never really subscribed to the idea that playing violent video games makes you violent. If you have a propensity toward that, it can exacerbate that. If you are a vulnerable personality and you have some sort of mental illness, it can maybe influence that or whatever. Like in the I forget the name of it now. The movie with Tom Hanks and the Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. With monsters, I think.
Right. If you already have issues distinguishing fantasy from reality, then playing a fantasy game is going to cause you issues, yes. But for most people, it's not going to.
Well, it is kind of funny to say that you don't promote games that are just about killing people when you joined the team for Onward, which I don't believe involves reconstruction.
Well, no, it's Hitman is about assassinating.
Oh, I know.
That's about murder.
Right.
Onward, yes, you are taking out the enemy, but you don't have to. You can win without taking out the enemy. Well, Martok can. If you're playing uplink and you manage to get over there, do the uplink code, and they don't come in to disable it, you win with no shots fired.
Right.
That doesn't happen very often, but it can, in theory, happen.
Right, and it wouldn't be much fun either. But
this is a team-based, objective-driven game with a narrative frame of at least some sort around it that's not just, hey, go murder each other,
Right.
So it's a different feel,
Well, right. Well, it comes down to the same thing as I think any of these games, and what would really narrow down the discussion is saying when we play these games, we're playing lacrosse without sticks, and that's what we're playing in all of these games that promote this so-called violence. So yes, if your head is on your shoulders, it's a release and it's fun. If your head is not well placed on your shoulders, I mean, your father buying you a BB gun can turn you into a mass murderer.
Right.
So
right. Now, one thing that I do agree with, and that does apply to Onward and the Pistol Whip, and, well, not necessarily the Pistol Whip because it's so stylized, but games that feature a lot of violence can desensitize you
I agree.
to violence. And that's unfortunate, but also that happens just from watching the news also.
Exactly.
Watching movies. You can't escape the desensitizing effect in today's world.
Right. Our culture has accepted these things, and it's something that we've, there are so many more real life situations that would be impacted by other day-to-day occurrences than these games.
Right. So we know the debate's going to come up at some point. Oh no, Murder Simulator is now first person where you actually feel like you are the assassin. Well, yeah. It's not a game I'm going to be playing because it's not a game that I ever played to begin with. Not really a game I want to play. So just like Grand Theft Auto, if it ever came to VR, it's not a game I would play.
Hey, look, one of our friends from the Discord has a hard time with in death, even murdering enemies because he feels like a butcher after a while. So it's it's all up to the person.
Right. Right. You know your limits better than anybody else. If you feel this is too much Murder Simulator for you, then don't play it.
Right. Go build pottery or play some artwork or
play paintball in Rec Room or
Exactly. There's a million ways to get your yayas out. So.
Yes. So on that note, I believe that wraps up our show, and it exactly 1 hour into recording it right now. So good timing.
Excellent.
So feel free to like, subscribe, drag your friends over until they also like and subscribe, and then send them back to their house so they can go back to social distancing. And we'll see you next time. Have fun. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.